Hospitality is a very interesting and dynamic industry. Hospitality industry, very interesting and dynamic. And as we know, we have global best practices, that are acceptable. It's just like norms that are acceptable in the industry. So when you talk about global best practices, it encompasses a lot of things, a lot of dimension, in terms of technology, in terms of service delivery, in terms of training and retraining of staff, even the recruitment, onboarding of staff. There's so many things involved when you talk about global best practices. Well, let me just say the main challenge we have in this climb is orientation, education. In this climb, many people go into the hospitality business without much information about what they are about to go into. You see, the problem with us in this climb is education. You see, many of our hotel owners are not properly educated before going into the business. I've had series of experiences on the field where some people must have wasted fortune and they will now realize that they need consultants. And by that time, let me say it may be late already. Before you go into any business, get to understand, how it works. The hotel business is a very complex business. Like globally, the trend is making sure your guests' expectations are exceeded. And so many, the technology is employed in making sure this is possible. You won't believe that up to now, we still have some of our local brands. In fact, most of our local brands have not even adopted the PMS. PMS is property management software, where you right from the guest arrival, in fact, right from online, by the time you are checking online to know about the hotel, their products and all that, right from online to when you get to the front desk and throughout all your experiences, all these things are captured by a software, makes the experience so robust and all that. Up till now, many of our local brands still find it difficult to adopt this PMS. To them, it's expensive. To them, they don't see any reason for it. And this is what makes, it improves guest experiences. It makes you satisfy your guests. You even exceed their expectations. Makes just at a point, just on the touch of a button, things are already happening. In the Western world, they're already going into, AI, right from CRM, customer relations management, service, CRS, and all that. They're already exploring using AI and all that. Here we are still on biro and paper. How do you compare the brands? The local brands are built around the owners. The owner, tells you either he is knowledgeable or not about the business. He runs it like a one-man business. And at the demise of the owner, the business dies. Unlike the global brands. The owners of Marriott are long gone. And Marriott keep multiplying all over the globe. Right now, they have about more than 1.5 million properties all over the world. They have acquired Sheraton here in Lagos, even 4 Point by Sheraton. You see them expanding. What is the secret? It's all about process, system. When there's no process, there's no system, then you are planning to fail. And it's a common saying that when you don't plan, you're already planning to fail. When there's no planning, many of them go into the business without proper feasibility studies. You know, a young man came in from diaspora, was not just last year, to invest in this same hospitality business, set up a lounge on the island. You won't believe it. 6 months, 100 million was gone. And he had to pack up and return back again. So what is happening? Why is it that the global brands are thriving and our own brands are not thriving? Meanwhile, we should even have some advantages over the global brands because it is natural. We are naturally hospitable. It is our nature in Africa. You know, hospitality, Africa is hospitality, hospitality is Africa. You know, so all we need to do is to get the formal training and convert our virtue, hospitality virtue, into in a professional way and run the business professionally. Well, actually, it's not by the quality. We still have some boutique hotels, you know, that are doing very well in the country. They're already trying as much as possible to, you know, follow the global best practices. You know, it's not until your hotel is so massive and big before you can exceed your guest satisfaction, you know. No. Even if it's just 7 rooms, you can still have a brand that can be reckoned with. You know, a brand is not until it's massive before you can say you have a brand. You can have a brand even in a small hotel. You can create a brand. So it's not about of course, we have some hotels that takes care of the middle class and they are doing it perfectly well. But what I'm just saying is majority of them are not doing it well because they have refused to adopt the tech. They have refused, you know, to follow, you know, good processes. They don't care about training. As far as they are concerned, the staff are just slaves. They use them and dump them. You know, they believe that if they don't do well, fire them, hire another person. You know, your business will be going in circles. You have to create a kind of linear graph, not the one that will just go up and fall down again. You know, try, you know, to train your staff. Like I always tell people, if you don't train them, don't blame them. Because you can't imagine spending billions of naira to erect a structure in the name of a hotel and you cannot even onboard your staff properly. Most of them, they just employ anyhow, put their relatives and they start running. There is no onboarding program, no vision, no mission, no core values, no SOPs. And and as far as they're concerned, they are running a business. You know, when the owner is not around, nothing can happen. And the guests are complaining. Why is it that you don't have these things in stock? You cannot tell them that our MD is not around. That's why he has not released money. That should be budget. You run such businesses on budget. If he has to release money, he releases the money, you know, as at when the budget is ready and the budget is funded. So the business runs on autopilot. It doesn't have to be there. But most of these local brands, they want to be there to see everything, and it's not possible. It's not possible. Or else, like I said, at the demise of the owner, the business dies. What is the secret behind the companies like Coca-Cola, and all the Marriotts of this world, the Sheraton, etc.? What's the secret? It's because they have process and they have a system. So once there is no process, you're just wasting your time. So and like I always say, a brand is built. It does not come by accident. There has to be intention. It has to be deliberate. You have to be deliberate about building a brand. Well, the truth is, staff will always live where they are not well treated. One thing is to say you are training. Another thing is the environment conducive for them? They are not animals. If they are well treated, they will stay. They receive training. They see a future in the organization. There's nothing like staff handbook. You don't even know your rights. You don't know your privileges. You don't know where the company's right stops and where yours starts. You don't know whether you are entitled to leave or not. In fact, that one is in the hotels in our climb here. There is nothing like leave. You treat them anyhow. Why will they stay? But go and check out those local brands that have adopted these global best practices. Their staff are not going because they see a future. And the issue of trust, you're talking about trust. It's not peculiar with the local brands. If money can be stolen in the local brands, it can be stolen in the international brands. But the difference is the process. You see, like most of our clients, when we try to that we consult for, when we take over, I always tell them, look, let's put a system in place. Increase their salaries. Let their salaries be enough. Then those that were there with the wrong intention, by the time the systems are in place, they will leave because they know they cannot steal. Recently, in one of the hotels I consult for, somewhere in Ogun State, we recruited the maintenance officer, and they overheard him talking on phone that it's like there are no lapses here. Barely 7 days, he was already looking for lapses to explore, and that he has to leave. You won't believe, within a week he has already given us a notice that he's resigning. Why? Because there's a system in place. Use this PMS we are talking about. Property management software. It has different modules. You have the front desk module. You have the restaurant and bar modules. You have the accounting module, the inventory module. Different modules, and they all work together. It's a central thing. Even the HR module, whereby you onboard your staff on the software. Right on the software, you know whether their documents are complete or not. Those that are 80% complete, what are the outstanding documents, the guarantors, and all those things. But most of these people, when you tell them, it's alien to them. They don't believe it's workable here. All there is, and another thing, another dimension, another thing I noticed about our local owners is, how much was your sales yesterday? The next thing is he has taken everything. He's going to party. No future. The business has no future. And when the employees see you spend like that, see you behave like that, you are also tempting them to start behaving like that, to go into the money if they have the opportunity to, because they don't have a future in that business. They know their future is not guaranteed. Tomorrow the business might fold up because of the recklessness of the owner. You are building a business. Allow it to grow. Nurture it. Let it grow. Let it grow. Let me break it down. Like when I say the front desk module, the module has a lot of features whereby when your guest walks in, or either online, you can book online and it will reflect right there. You can book right from London. You go to the website, the hotel's website, and right from the comfort of your bedroom, you are seeing the different categories of rooms, just as if you are already in the hotel. And you are seeing the attached rack rates. And you make a pick. And as you pick, you have the option of payment. And as you make the payment, you reserve the date and a future date, and you make the payment. As soon as you make the payment, it reflects right in the hotel on the front desk. For example, you picked room 107, and somebody else walks into the front desk and says, I want room 107. Sorry, it will show that it's no more available, even though you didn't see the guests, but it's been paid for online. Can't you see it makes life easy? It increases, improves the guest experiences. It makes your potential guests or your guests happy. Makes things easy for them. So you can achieve that online. You can also achieve it by walking into the front desk, and you can make a reservation. All you need to do is check the rooms. You don't even need to go around and looking at the rooms. It's displayed for you at the front desk. You have it on the screen. You see the different categories of room. You make a pick and you make payment. Now, when you make payment, a receipt is generated immediately. Another thing is, that's what you call door integration. When you're talking about fraud, you integrate your door. That's the card system. Not the iron key, the card system. You integrate it with your software in such a way that once a card is activated, because once payment is made, the card is activated automatically. The owner already gets an alert. In some software, it's called MRS, Management Report System, that a room has been sold. Either you are there or not. It's as clear, as simple as that. You don't need to come, and some owners will come and sit down at the reception to see what is happening. No, you don't even need a camera. Everything is automated. No room can be opened. You can't access any room without the card being activated. And the card cannot be activated except payment is made. It's only the payment that activates the card. Can you see that control? So, now, another question comes. What about when you want to clean the room? How do you get the card? That's what you call, MasterCard. Or, floor card. And all that, depending. Now, personally, I advise my clients. You don't activate a MasterCard to work indefinitely. To work anytime, anyhow. We have hours of cleaning. So your MasterCard is activated to work. For example, the checkout time is 12 o'clock. So you activate it in such a way that it's only active between 12 and maybe 3 o'clock or so. Every daily. Once it is 3, you cannot access the room with the MasterCard again. You can see the tech we are talking about. So you can't access any room again. And again, we have energy saving lights, whereby it's only that same card that can power the lights and the TV and the AC in the room. No guest wants to check into a room without the AC working, without the TV working. So it's only that same card that can power the systems. So you won't check me in by 1 o'clock because you have access to MasterCard. And by 3 or 4, once your card is no more active, I'm in darkness. And again, you can always generate a report from the front desk that will tell you how many times, the kind of permit, the entrance, whether the room was opened with the MasterCard or it was opened with a guest card. Right from the report, you see. And when you go to the report and you see that MasterCard open at this time, you say, what happened? Why? Who was the person that accessed the room? So you don't need to be there. A particular client of mine was trying to lease out his hotel, which I always strongly advise against, on the island, because he was relocating to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, So I advised him against it. Why do you want to? I've told you to install a PMS since. This will give you some level of comfort, because his main reason is that I'm here, right under my nose. They are still stealing. When I leave, what will happen? You don't need to. And thank God he was able to take the advice. We installed the PMS and he saw the difference. Don't underestimate your guests. Even forget the color. They may be black, but they are well traveled. They've been to America, they've been to Europe, they've been to, Dubai. They've lodged in the best hotels in the world, and they know what good service is. So don't think you can just give them any kind of service anyhow. They have an expectation. For every, rack rate, for every money paid, there is a value, an expected value attached to it. Why is it that you see some guests, they'll lodge in 5-star hotels, they pay as much as 1 million naira, 700,000, 500,000 a night, and when they wake up in the morning, because of the kind of treatment, when they are checking out, you still see them giving out tips. They are happy. Meanwhile, this same set will go to some local brands, maybe as a result of lack of availability of such class of hotel in their village, or in they have a function somewhere, and they pay just 30,000 naira, and you see them complaining and quarreling and getting angry, agitated, Why? Because of the service. 30,000 has a value, an expected value. Same thing with 500,000 naira. If he had paid 500,000 naira in a 5-star hotel and he didn't get the attached value, he will complain. But he paid 30,000 and he could not even sleep at night, mosquito, all through the night. The AC is not working. Why? Because there is no process, no system. All these ACs and all these things, they all have, you have a kind of maintenance worksheet, maintenance plan. It does not have to break down before you start repairing it. You maintain them. When the generator has worked for so number of hours, it must be serviced. How often do we check all these things in our local brands? Because there is even no system, no SOP, nothing in place. You just open and start running. It's not done anywhere. I gave an example of someone who brought in 100 million naira and the whole thing disappeared. Let me say, what we should know is that money is inflammable. The whole thing went in flames. That's how I will put it, within 6 months. Why? Because there was no due process. There was no planning. He didn't understand what he was coming to do. He just dabbled into it. In my book, which I'll be launching soon in my event coming up. I call it ABC of creating a great hospitality brand. You know, simple, steps of creating a brand. You know, I mean, I made reference to such owners as accidental owners. You know, you just inherited a property, or you felt, okay, what is moving now? What can we do? They say hotel is bringing in money, jackpot. Many people have gone into it and they've gotten their fingers burnt. So I will advise investors, if you want to invest, do proper feasibility study. Do proper feasibility study. Well, let me give you an example, a practical example. One of my clients started a 23 rooms hotel in Delta, and according to him, it's almost 3-4 years now. According to him, he spent about 400 million naira. He's smiling today. Right now, there is no day that he does not have a turnover. You can do something smaller, even with 100 million, Yes, it depends. I just gave a practical example. I know of people that have just 7 rooms and they are making their money every day because they've done, their due diligence. No, definitely, it will reflect on your pricing. And once, like I always tell people, is value for value. I can't be forced to sell my room 10,000 naira because my neighbor is selling for 10,000 naira. I can sell mine for 40,000 naira and still be fully booked. While the one that is selling for 10,000 naira is not even attracting any guests. Why? Because the 10,000 naira will try to say, okay, when it is 12, we turn off the gen because we want to conserve energy. We don't have money to buy diesel and all that. Start rationing. No guests will feel comfortable. These guests, even in their personal homes, they enjoy 24 hours light. They enjoy themselves. Then you now come, to a hotel where you should relax and be able to think properly. And they are telling you they are turning off the gen because they don't want to sell the room high. I'll tell my clients, sell it high, but create the value. When the value is there, make sure you recover your costs. You have to impute all these things, into your costing. Many of them don't even believe there is need for a revenue manager. Apart from the normal manager, you have a revenue manager. You have cost accountants, apart from the main accountant, people that are in charge of costing. You're selling a plate of food for 7,000 naira. What is the cost? Many of them don't know. And like I said, most of this software takes care of all these things. The recipes are there in the software, all programmed. So when you have sold a plate of rice, you already know how much is your profit on it. It comes to that. So we have to be very analytical. Yeah, majorly it's let me say government policies. It affects, like like in Lagos State now, we talk of consumption tax. Then the federal will still come and say you should pay VAT. It is repetition. Consumption tax is 5%. Then the federal government is asking for 7.5. Is that not 12.5? How? How do you survive? You understand? So these are challenges, and that's one of the reasons, for the vision for my program, which will be coming up in September. It's called Hotel Owners Dinner Outreach. It sort of creates an environment where you have the policymakers, you have the stakeholders, the investors, the owners of hotel, the practitioners, all come together under one roof. Then we dialogue, look at the investment climb, look at the challenges, we rub minds together, and we come up with solutions, possible solutions. Like you cannot be up there churning out rules. You are so far from the players. You don't even know, you can't feel them. You don't know what they are going through. A client of mine, the road to his hotel is terrible, very terrible. And it's hardly having guests. And this government arm will come and pay consumption tax. Another will pay advert. Another will pay different kinds of local government will come and ask for their own. So like this year's edition, we are bringing in the number one taxman in the state, for example, will be we call it investment roundtable. Will be in the panel. We have a representative of the international brand. That's the owners of Marriott Hotel in GRA, Ikeja. He'll be in the panel too. And we have the permanent secretary, tourism, who'll be in the panel. So we'll bring them together. Then we have consultants, practitioners of over 40 years in the industry in that same panel. That's the president of AFCON. AFCON is Association of Tourism and Hospitality Consultants in Nigeria. He'll be in the panel. All of them. So let us discuss. Let's feel each other's pain. Let us understand. The government, tell us why you are taxing us like this and all that. So that's one challenge. Another one is power. Of course, there's nothing we can do about that. It's a national thing, and until it is solved nationally, we'll keep generating our own. While we always advise that, owners should look at, solar, which is environmental friendly. That's even the way, hospitality is going. We talk about sustainability, in hospitality, social, economic, and environmental. Those are other issues again, another topic entirely, maybe for another day. We should just keep it professional. Whatever you are doing, keep it professional. You're building a brand, always remember that a brand is a promise. Make sure you always keep it. A brand is an experience. Always improve the experience. A brand is a reputation. Maintain it.